Alright. Taking gamers. World of Tanks Mod Armor. Season Pass tank is, surprise, surprise, a T-55 variant. The M55S. Here's my setup. I know this is why I'm not going to say this review, just my thoughts, because I only have the 3 standard-ish perks for the commander. And here's the thing about T-55. Doesn't matter what type of hat they're wearing. Especially if it's Era 1 and Era 2, is turret to hull rotation speeds are different. The turret will be slower than the hull. So, for me, I think several other players, at least, trying to get the turret to move as fast as possible in any direction is paramount, especially with so many fast little tanks. Cue the Visal MK1 right there. Now, I love T-55s, and you should too. Why? Because, as I started off with, this is another T-55 variant. So if you like T-55s, you're going to want to like these, because during the Cold War, this was one of the most mass-produced tanks by the Soviets. Like, over 100,000 were made. So you went from seeing them in every parking spot when you went to the bread line to, you know, nowadays you occasionally still see them out and about. They're like the Ford Ranger. Yeah, I know I'm mixing up my metaphors from the past, the present, and getting them all wrong, but hey, it's the T-55. It is kind of like the Ford Ranger of tanks. It was made to do a few things, and then, you know, you put it in the hands of people like, yeah, we can only afford this, but we need a lot more to be done. So duct tape to the rescue. So learn to like the T-55, because there's more in the future, and we already have several variants, whether it's with expanded hulls, increased motor power, and etc. Accept it. That's the real world part of this game. Now on to the M55S, which is probably one of, like, there isn't too much more to upgrade on a T-55 before it's like, this is just get a new tank. It can't do anything else after this. So it's Serbian T-55, now currently getting some use in Ukraine. So not dead. T-55s will not die. They're like B-52 bombers. I am just throwing it all out there, just hoping something makes you giggle. Alright, I'll focus here. So, the M55S, again, you've played a T-55, you know the basics of this already, so it's more about, okay, so they put on some, I think, Blazer explosive reactive armor onto the turret, which is why it has a slightly different hat from the T-55 Enigma, or the Era 3 Dragula T-55 AGM, you know, and its main difference, of course, is the L7 British boom snout. Of course, bigger boom snout than the 100mm that came with the T-55. The 105 calibers just happened to be able to fit somewhat decently in a T-55 turret. So it was like, hey, there's a great upgrade. Sadly, no ATGMs. Well, the L7's a rifled barrel anyway, so it's not really going to work. But that's sort of the main difference. I will say this, yeah, I can get it up to 65 kilometers per hour, and again, I put anything to boost the engine, not so much hull rotation, just so that turret will turn faster is still my go-to for Era 1, Era 2 T-55s. You want to make this thing haul and try to do run and gun with a turret that can't keep up with the hull rotation turn, alright, go for it. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have fun with getting the accuracy down, because while this does have British accuracy in that it aims in, that reticle really does narrow in, it blooms like a proper Soviet tank. Well, maybe even like a lot of tanks now. Again, still getting a feel for the update changes, and I haven't really touched a lot of Western line since I have been grinding the T-64 line, and that didn't help my opinion of the M55S. However, it's a balanced tank. Armor can bounce some ATGMs around. I would keep at a distance, and when you have a 105mm boom snout, you feel comfortable at distance. Except I was coming from the T-64 with the 125mm boom snout, and that was, the rounds got to be almost 1700 meters per second. Here you're looking at about around 1460. I'm averaging it a bit, so that 1400 meters per second is, I've had a few times where I led by a country mile and still ended up with a round behind the tank. So it was a bit tricky, but with practice you will do well. And again, penetration, you have two forms of APFSDS for standard and premium. So you're 426 millimeters penetration standard, 494 for premium. And yes, hash 250 millimeters penetration and 570 alpha. Yeah, you can have fun with certain tanks at certain angles. Lower plates be damned. So this is where you can sort of get excited, but while the reticle is very small, and I know some of the accuracy nerfs do seem make a lot of tanks feel derpy. But unfortunately with this, it's like, oh, your reticle narrows right in, almost laser-like, but it's still stuck to a Russian tank. So you get, it's derpy, but not as derpy. So it does feel a little more comfortable to play than certain like 100mm premium tanks with 100mm premium tanks with 100mm boom snouts. So yeah, and with 60% silver boost, and I'm at the end of the season, so I get an extra 25%. Yeah, you will make silver. And if you need silver and you are comfortable in a T-55, the M55S could very well be your go-to because of that L7. That boom snout is the separating factor here. If you want to stay to Era 2, because then you go to Era 1, you have the T-55A. Yeah, that's that. And then in Era 3, if you got it, the Dragula from last year's Metal Fest, okay. The T-55 AVGM, though, is very different. There's been a lot of upgrades to that to make it fast, and the turret turns fast. So that was Ukrainians' solution to making the T-55 as modern as possible, and I don't think there's much more they can do with that. Especially at the time, I do believe they had a slightly better budget than Slovenia did with their T-55 upgrade project. So M55S. Anything else I have to say? Not OP, for just to clarify that. Kind of, I have it up to 65 kilometers per hour, but that extra armor does make it slow. So if you were gonna go for a running gun approach, I don't know if I would expect that. I definitely treat this, and we'll see how my commander perks go, but I'm treating this more as a mid-range, possibly long-range-ish sniper type tank, just to capitalize more on the cannon, the boom snout that has that penetration range and better accuracy. Yeah, I know. Better than some, worse than others. Doesn't feel proper British, if you know what I mean. And if you've played any sort of Centurion, you know what I mean. So as for a season tank, absolutely. If you are still on the fence, it'll get you silver. it can have some forgiveness if you don't get too close to the enemy, but again, from the side, depending on which side you're taking hits from, you're either going to be set on fire or ammo racked, especially if you get hit by an ATGM. That's pretty much everything on the right side. The left side, if you're hit in the hull, there goes your driver. If you're hit in your turret, there goes your commander. So I strongly do recommend keeping at a distance and doing be more of a support tank. Don't be a run and gun tank, okay? The era 2 is where you start feeling those higher penetration values of opposing tanks, and that can be disastrous from the side. And of course, pick an autocannon tank from the side, it could wreck you. So it's like, yeah, then your consumables. Well, to talk about consumables, what are you playing as? I'm staying at a distance, so at least for the mid, as long as you're on the winning team and staying that first half of the game should be good. Keep your health points, keep them up. Later stages, brawling points, definitely don't want to get into too much of a brawling point where unless you're the one with the 3-on-1 advantage. All right. Again, also reload time is a bit annoying, but that's update for you. So it is sort of like all about it's sort of like all Russian tanks. Make it about the boom snout, and I do what you can for the turret. Dare I say, put a spall liner on if you are really worried about, you know, getting ATGM or ammo racked and crew survival. But I do feel like this is a tank that kind of slides into a specific slot. Experiment as you will, but again, once you get a British L705, you kind of go, well, I'm kind of going to hang back here and find a bush to hide behind and just do what you can to keep that boom sound singing like you do with a lot of British tanks. So it's no T-64, which, yes, the T-64s definitely felt better. Well, T-64A, or the T-64 was lacking. T-64A was, that's when you started feeling good. But it's no T-64, which Wargaming considers a medium and not an MBT. But I can't get into that. That's another video. So like and subscribe if you like what I have to say about the M55S or all the other T-55s and T-55 variants. This ain't no Ramses 2/Pharaoh's Fury. That's for damn sure. So, and look forward to my overview of the T-64 line. I look forward to talking about that and spoilers, continuing to play the T-64. So anyway, I'll let this match play out. I don't do well, but we win. So not all crap, and I make more silver. So I hope you keep your tracks on the ground, RNG's in your favor, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.